Welcome back to Bible Study by the Pond, where Rebel and I await your presence. We want you to join us for Genesis chapter 41. When 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing by the Nile when out of the river there came up 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they grazed among the reeds. After them 7 other cows, ugly and gaunt, came up out of the Nile and stood beside those on the river bank. And the cows that were ugly and gaunt ate up the 7 sleek, fat cows. Then Pharaoh woke up. A good 2 years that Joseph spent in prison. This was good for him. I understand that. It helped him to grow up. He understood what the slave's life was, right down to the bottom. He could love people no matter who they were. For the position that God was going to call him to, he needed to have compassion and love for everyone. That's the reason God sent me to prison. It was to learn how to love those that society has rejected, the unlovable, because this ministry teaches people that as we treat others, so we will be treated. As we forgive, so God will forgive us. And I need all the forgiveness, and I want to be treated with love. And God treats me as I treat others. Let us treat others today with great love. He fell asleep again and had a second dream. 7 heads of grain, healthy and good, were growing on a single stalk. After them 7 other heads of grain sprouted, thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 healthy, full heads. Then Pharaoh woke up. It had been a dream. In the morning his mind was troubled, so he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. Pharaoh told them his dream, but no one could interpret them for him. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, "Today I am reminded of my shortcomings. Pharaoh was once angry with his servants, and he imprisoned me and the chief baker in the house of the captain of the guard. Each of us had a dream the same night, and each dream had a meaning of its own. Now a young Hebrew was there with us, a servant of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us, giving each man the interpretation of his dream. And things turned out exactly as he interpreted them to us. I was restored to my position, and the other man was hanged." God works everything out for his own purpose. Today, when we talk about working things out, we look at our clocks and we say, okay, we'll get things worked out in the next 20 minutes. When God works things out, it may take years, centuries, whatever is necessary. The plan of salvation is still being worked out after 6,000 years. God is in no rush. He's dealing with human feelings. He's dealing with us poor humans. Things have to work out so we understand truth. Not just know it, but understand it. There's a difference. A kid may understand that if he puts his finger in the car door and slams it, it could hurt. But until he actually accomplishes that, he'd have no understanding as to what it means by hurt. God is allowing sin to run its course so that we understand the dreadfulness of sin. We see the effects of it. And inside of us, down to our deepest marrow of the bones, we don't want to sin. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and he was quickly brought from the dungeon. When he had shaved and changed his clothes, he came before Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I had a dream, and no one can interpret it. But I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. Here, if Joseph had stayed in the house as a servant, where he was basically head of the whole household, his ego could have gotten a hold of him. And at this point in time, he could have gotten his ego and pride up and, why sure, I can interpret it. But through his experience in prison, it humbled him. I cannot do it, Joseph replied to Pharaoh, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream I was standing on the bank of the Nile, when out of the river there came up 7 cows, fat and sleek, and they grazed among the reeds. After them 7 other cows came up, scrawny and very ugly and lean. I had never seen such ugly cows in all the land of Egypt. The lean, ugly cows, ate up the 7 fat cows that came up first. But even after they ate them, no one could tell that they had done so. They looked just as ugly as before. Then I woke up. In my dreams I also saw 7 heads of grain, full and good, growing on a single stalk. After them 7 other heads sprouted, withered and thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 good heads. I told this to the magicians, but none could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are one and the same. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. Joseph gives all credit to God. There's nothing about, well, our medical center, well, our schooling and education system, well, our church. Joseph is very simple and plain. God is the one who gives us the wisdom. God is the one who takes care of us. God is the one that we are to give all recognition to. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. It is one and the same dream. The 7 lean, ugly cows that came up afterward are 7 years, and so are the 7 worthless heads of grain scorched by the east wind. They are 7 years of famine. It is just as I said to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt, but 7 years of famine will follow them. Then all the abundance in Egypt will be forgotten, and the famine will ravage the land. The abundance in the land will not be remembered, because the famine that follows it will be so severe. The reason the dream was given to Pharaoh in 2 forms is that the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. In the Bible, there's a principle. God said no man is to be condemned on the testimony of one person. There must be at least 2 or 3 testimonies to condemn somebody. Here, God is using the same principle for Pharaoh. 2 testimonies, 2 dreams. He's making sure that Pharaoh understands that this will come about. And now let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners over the land to take 1/5 of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. They should collect all the food of these good years that are coming and store up the grain under the authority of Pharaoh to be kept in the cities for food. This food should be held in reserve for the country, to be used during the 7 years of famine that will come upon Egypt, so that the country may not be ruined by the famine. I want you to look at another principle here. How many of us would be willing to stand up and actually try to improve the country that has enslaved me, imprisoned me, and treated me terribly? They did not respect me. They did not care for my rights. Ladies and gentlemen, we have no rights. Our only right is to serve God and to serve our fellow man no matter what they do to us. We are not to point fingers and blame people. We are not to judge them. Oh, because of this, that's why she's doing that. And no. We're just to love. We're to serve. And Joseph learned that. No matter what they did to him, he loved them. And now he is trying to preserve the life of a whole nation that put him in prison. The plan seemed good to Pharaoh and to all his officials. So Pharaoh asked them, "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God?" Instead of saying, "Well, you know, let you starve. Yeah, it's coming, boy. You all gonna have a bad time for what you did to me." Instead, Joseph did all in his power to save them. That's what true Christians are to do. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you." When we live as God commands us to live, with love for everyone no matter what, as we pass the test, first the little test, and then a little more, the greater test, God will do mighty things for us. But we must show forth in our character the love of Jesus to every single person, no matter how bad they treat us, no matter what happens. Let us be like Jesus. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in robes of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. He had him ride in a chariot as his second in command, and men shouted before him, "Make way!" Thus he put him in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Again, this could have gone to his head. Joseph could have become very, very egotistical and prideful, but instead, he kept his focus on God and his duty, doing his responsibility. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh, but without your word no one will lift hand or foot in all Egypt." Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zaphenath-Paneah, and gave him Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, priest of On, to be his wife. And Joseph went throughout the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout Egypt. During the 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentifully. Joseph collected all the food produced in those 7 years of abundance in Egypt and stored it in the cities. In each city he put the food growing in the fields surrounding it. Joseph stored up huge quantities of grain, like the sand of the sea. It was so much that he stopped keeping records because it was beyond measure. Before the years of famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph by Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, priest of On. Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh. He said, "It is because God has made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household." The second son he named Ephraim, and said, "It is because God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering." The 7 years of abundance in Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had said. There was famine in all the other lands, but in the whole land of Egypt there was food. When all Egypt began to feel the famine, the people cried to Pharaoh for food. Then Pharaoh told all the Egyptians, "Go to Joseph and do what he tells you." When the famine had spread over the whole country, Joseph opened the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe throughout Egypt. And all the countries came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph, because the famine was severe in all the world. When we are faithful to God, everyone around us will be blessed. But when we are living for our selfishness, everyone around us will be cursed. Sin destroys, righteousness blesses. Let us humble ourselves and serve everyone around us, not thinking about our own self and our own rights and our own what they should do for me and what they should do for me and what they should do for me. Instead, our whole lives should be, what can I do to serve you? What can I do to make your life better? How can I please you? How can I bless you? The New Testament says that Jesus came and did good. We need to do good. Have a good day today.